What's good, everybody? It's the Clown and Cam Show, NFL Week 8. Shout out to my Indianapolis Colts getting another freaking L. What's new? Nothing's new with the Indianapolis Colts. The reality is we're going to miss the playoffs, like I said back in Week 1. There was a shot, but we just need a quarterback. That's what we need. It's sad to see rookie quarterbacks like C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, who the Indianapolis Colts skipped on, who just threw for 4 touchdowns this weekend. It's a head scratcher, right? Where we're just like, man, we could have had Will Levis. We could have had so many different quarterbacks, but, it sucks. It really does. But I knew the Saints were going to run right through the Indianapolis Colts, and they did. It was a dominant performance. Shout out to Derek Carr, 310 yards passing with 2 tutties. Taysom Hill ran all over the Indianapolis Colts defense with 2 touchdowns, 63 yards rushing. It's what I saw coming for so long. And looking at the Indianapolis Colts, it's just like a movie we've seen over and over again. It's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. They look good. Everything's good and whatnot. But when it comes to winning big games and winning championships, it's just not the team. In the Colts, the reality is we just suck, dude. That's what it is, man. I mean, we'd be lucky to win 7 games this year. Like, we're not going to win our division. It's going to be Jacksonville. But for the Colts' sake, yes, there still is a bright future there. We do have young, good players. We signed Jonathan Taylor. We have a guy, Josh Downs, who really looks really nice. We need to keep Josh Downs. I think he's going to really do good things in the future for the Colts. But, as far as Minshew goes, he's an okay quarterback. But he's not the quarterback to be like, yeah, man, like, he's going to lead us to the promised land. He's just not, man. Like, Minshew is just, he's an average quarterback, man. Like, I don't know why Colts, love these washed-up quarterbacks like Minshew. And I understand Anthony Richardson went down, but it's like, all right, who's our backup? Gardner Minshew. He's been in the league for a while. He's washed up. We got Matt Ryan. He was washed up. We got Phillip Rivers. He was washed up. We got Andrew Luck, who everybody thought he was Peyton Manning 2.0. He was washed up. Like, it's just like everything's washed up with the Colts. So I just hope we turn it around. But a huge win by the Saints, the away team. Shout out to the New Orleans Saints. Destroying my Indianapolis Colts. And then we got the Miami Dolphins beating the New England Patriots. This was another easy pick. Definitely 100% Miami all day. The 8.5, it covered. Shout out to Tua, 324 yards passing with 3 touchdowns and a pick. Tua, sometimes he throws bad interceptions. He really does. And I think he's going to work on that. The second half of the year, I think the Miami's going to start to clamp down and say, hey, look, Tua, you don't have to force things. You guys have so many great players. A-Chain's coming back by week 11. They're bye weeks in a couple weeks. So for Miami, they're looking really nice. They are 100% going to make the playoffs this year. And we look at the Patriots and realize, well, they still have Mac Jones, another trash quarterback. Like, if you guys want to win a Super Bowl with the Patriots and Bill Belichick, who's done so many times, he's not going to with Mac Jones. That's just not the quarterback. And even sad news, Kendrick Bourne, the receiver for New England, he's out with a torn ACL, done for the year. So for the Patriots' sake, they're lucky to win 5 games this year. Who would have thought that? Growing up, seeing Tom Brady, seeing Bill Belichick and the Patriots, they were a powerhouse team. They won 12 games every single year, won 6 Super Bowls. Tom Brady won 7 overall. It's just crazy. Now, all of a sudden, the Patriots, they're an organization that's really falling apart in real time right now. They won't even make the playoffs again this year. They missed last year. It's crazy to me. But Miami, man, Jalen Waddle, baller, 121 yards receiving in a tutty. We had Tyreek with that 42-yard touchdown. I'm telling you, Miami, they're probably the best offensive team right now. I just think defensive-wise, for the Miami Dolphins, they're going to have to clamp down the second half of the season and start to step up. And if you guys really want to run deep in the playoffs, that's where it's going to start. But 2 in the Dolphins, they continue to roll. Shout out to the Miami Dolphins. And then we got the Jets coming back against the New York Giants with that upset comeback, man. Shout out to the Jets. They've gotten so lucky ever since week 1 where they should have lost and they won in overtime against the Bills. And then this game, this was an overtime game. They won 10-13. And really, Garrett Wilson was the difference here. 100 receiving yards. They had no answer for him. But the Jets just battled back, and they never gave up. And really, the Giants, I feel bad. Tyrod Taylor's hurt. They're expecting Daniels to come back. But I just think overall, man, I just looking at the Giants, man, they're done. They really are. All they have is Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones, I mean, it's just, that's it, man. Daniel Jones, a neck injury, he's coming back. He's trash. Honestly, he's not a good quarterback. But Barkley, that's all they got. 128 yards rushing this game, but it wasn't enough. Shout to the New York Jets, man. They are 4-3 right now. Ever since Aaron Rodgers got hurt in like the fourth play of week 1, everybody written off the Jets that, hey, they might not even win a couple games. Well, right now they're 4-3. So like that's crazy to me. That's the most surprising team yet right now. It's the New York Jets. They're resilient and just never giving up. Shout out to the New York Jets with the huge win, comeback win against the New York Giants. And then we got the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was an easy pick. I picked Jacksonville all day. You know, Kenny Pickett did not play in the second half. He had a rib injury, but they brought in Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he's a trash quarterback. I can't believe he's still in the league right now. I thought he'd be in the Rita League or maybe bagging groceries at Walmart or something, but right now, Mitch Trubisky, 2 picks and 1 touchdown. That's just not good enough. You know, Mitch, he's better off picking some, groceries at the grocery store because Mitch Trubisky is trash, dude. How's he still in the NFL? I have no clue. But Jacksonville, man, they're continuing to look better every single week. And it starts with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, 292 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. ETN, 79 yards of receiving. But ETN, he can run and he can receive. So there's so many different things that ETN can do. What a back he is. I'm telling you what, he went to college with Trevor Lawrence. They were basically best friends in college at Clemson, so they know each other. They know each other really well, and I think right now what the Jacksonville Jaguars have going, man, they have that mojo. They're definitely going to win their conference. They're going to beat the Colts all the time. I just think Jacksonville, man, they're such a dark horse where a lot of teams don't talk about Jacksonville Jaguars. They're kind of under the radar. Nobody wants to speak on them. But come playoff time, I'm telling you, they could be a dark horse team. We saw them last year beat the LA Chargers. So, that comeback win. So, I think right now, Jacksonville is that team where you're like, oh, wow, they're definitely going to make some noise in the playoffs. They can upset a team, per se, like even the Kansas City Chiefs. You never know. I'm just telling you right now, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars are a legit team. Shout out to the Jags. And then we got the Tennessee Titans beating the Atlanta Falcons. Shout out to rookie quarterback Will Levis, who the Indianapolis Colts skipped on and got Anthony Richardson instead. But right now, it's not looking too good. Will Levis threw for 4 touchdowns, 238 yards passing, dude, in the dub. In Atlanta, dude, I'm telling you, man, Derrick Henry over 100 yards rushing, DeAndre Hopkins 128 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. I'm telling you, Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins right now, they're definitely on the same page. And I think what Will Levis is doing, I mean, he's going to take over Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill's been with Tennessee for how long now? How many playoff games has he won, dude? He is trash. Tannehill, dude, he's done. Put in Will Levis, a rookie, man. He's hungry. Out of Kentucky, I'm telling you, a lot of people didn't really know this guy. Even during the draft, he was slept on. So many teams skipped on him. Even my Indianapolis Colts skipped on Will Levis. Who would have thought, man? That is crazy. But, hey, the Tennessee Titans, a huge win, man. And I think they're going to roll with Will Levis. Now, is this a fluke? Is this just one good game? Now, watch him next week throw for 3 picks. But I'm telling you, he looked dialed in. And he looked like he's been in the league for a while, dude. He just amped up to play. He's hungry. They thrown to Deshaun Hopkins, man. DeAndre Hopkins. I'm telling you, man, it's awesome, man. Shout out to Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans with a huge win in Atlanta. And then we got the Carolina Panthers getting their first win, their first dub over the Houston Texans. I called this pick. I knew it. I just had that feeling that, hey, I think the Panthers are finally going to get their first dub, and they did, man. And it started with Bryce Young. 235 yards passing in a tutty. Adam Thielen did his own thing. He's been balling out all year this year, coming from Minnesota. But, for Houston, man, C.J. Stroud just 140 yards passing. That's it. It's just not enough. And I think, Carolina battled, man. They did. And shout out to Bryce Young. I think the future is still bright in Carolina. Obviously, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're definitely going to miss. But overall, the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young, starting quarterback, that organization right now, he's their number 1 guy. And I think they're going to add more pieces this offseason, add a couple of receivers, add some more offensive linemen, add some defenders for Carolina. And at the end of the day, man, I do think Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers in a couple years are going to be a playoff contender. I really do believe that. Shout out to the Carolina Panthers getting their first dub of the season, man. Shout out to Bryce Young in the Panthers. And then we got the LA Rams versus versus the Dallas Cowboys. I was definitely way off on this pick. I think this game was rigged. We all know the NFL is somewhat rigged anyway. The Cowboys, hey, they killed the Rams. Good deal. Even though I picked the Rams with the upset, I thought for sure just the way the game started out was just so fluky to me. It was just like, yeah, hey, throw a pick, Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp's wide open down the field, but hey, let's throw him 5 yards the other way. It just didn't make any sense. Matthew Stafford did not play well. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But the difference is, like I said, CeeDee Lamb. He's their main guy on offense, and the Dallas Cowboys finally listened to me and said, hey, let's go to CeeDee Lamb now. That sounds like a smart idea. He's our best player on the team, essentially. CeeDee Lamb is the best player on the Dallas Cowboys roster, and they finally threw to him. He had 2 touchdowns, 158 yards receiving. He snapped off, and that's what you do. If you're Dak Prescott, you give it to CeeDee Lamb, dude. He's your guy. I don't know why they haven't been doing this all year. The Cowboys could really be undefeated if they would have done this in week 1. They finally did it. Dak Prescott, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Dak Prescott really had a good game. But is this really telling me anything about the Cowboys? No. You're playing the Rams, who really aren't that good of a team this year. Have a terrible offensive line. Matthew Stafford's looking washed up. They're going to have to get a new quarterback for, Cooper Kupp and Puka. But overall, I just think, looking at the Dallas Cowboys is, they're going to match up against San Francisco, or they're going to match up against Philly. They're going to match up against, even Detroit. Like, you never know. And I think the Cowboys are going to fumble the ball yet again in the playoffs. That's just what they do. So, I'm not real, considered, oh, this is a great win by the Cowboys. No, dude. You guys are supposed to win this game, and, that's that. You guys have no, it's all hype for Dallas, man. Every other news media outlets is all about Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Well, they haven't won since the 90s, so, let that sink in. And Dak Prescott's your quarterback. Hey, good luck to the Dallas Cowboys and the organization, because I think it's really not going to end well for you guys come playoff time, but big win by the Dallas Cowboys. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers. I picked Minnesota. Another cash out, another opportunity to become rich here in America, another opportunity for you to become a millionaire. And I'm telling you, Minnesota, their season's over with. Kirk Cousins has a torn Achilles. He's out for the season. Like I said, Minnesota should have traded Kirk Cousins last year or the year before and got a rookie quarterback, somebody young and hungry, because, everybody wants to give leverage to Kirk Cousins like he's some great legendary quarterback, dude. Kirk Cousins is average quarterback. He has great players around him. Jordan Addison, a great rookie receiver. Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the league. What else do you need if you're Kirk Cousins? But, it sucks. It sucks to see him get hurt. It sucks to have a torn Achilles. But Kirk Cousins, his time in Minnesota is likely over. I don't see the Minnesota Vikings signing him this offseason. I don't. I see the Minnesota Vikings drafting in the draft next year and saying, hey, Kirk Cousins, thank you for your time. It's over. Your career is done. Kirk Cousins' career is over with, man. Shout out to Kirk Cousins. I mean, it's an okay career, but it's over with. It's done. So that's that, big win by the Minnesota Vikings, but their season is over. And then we got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington Commanders. I picked Philly in this matchup. They barely won. This was a really close game, and really Jalen Hurts balled out. 319 yards passing with 4 tutties. DeAndre Swift did his thing, a touchdown. Then you had A.J. Brown, 130 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Extends that streak of 125-plus yards receiving in a game. I'm telling you, man, A.J. Brown, in a lot of these throws that Jalen Hurts threw to him were not, open, were not, necessarily good throws. Some of them were good throws. The other ones in the end zone were just A.J. Brown's ability to just go up over 2 defenders and snag it in. Or that one-handed catch. It's crazy. So I think Jalen Hurts really is starting off really slow this year. But now he's starting to pick up some steam now from last year from the Super Bowl loss. I'm telling you, Philly, they're going to be a scary, scary team. And A.J. Brown, I don't know why the Tennessee Titans were like, hey, this is a good idea. Let's get rid of A.J. Brown. Another dumb decision by the Tennessee Titans. I can't believe that. But Philadelphia, man, they're continuing to roll. Washington, Sam Howell had 4 touchdowns, 397 yards passing. He really balled out. He threw a pick, though. He did. Dotson, he had 108 yards receiving and a touchdown. But overall, it was all Philly, man. And Philly only 1 loss this year. They're looking like the most solid team right now, even though I said San Francisco about a week or 2 ago. But they're on a 3-game losing streak. So Philadelphia Eagles right now are probably the most well-rounded team in the NFL. Shout out to the Eagles beating the Washington Commanders. And then we got the Cleveland Browns going into Seattle. I picked Seattle with the 3.5, and it covered. Seattle won 20-24. I love it when it hits, man. Shout out to Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Tyler Lockett, 81 yards receiving and a touchdown. And it was all Seattle here. My thing is with the Cleveland Browns is, when is Deshaun Watson going to come back? He got guaranteed like over 100 M's. And right now, Deshaun Watson's kind of living that life where he's like, I don't want to go to work, dude. I got over 100 M's in my bank account. I don't want to risk my life on the football field. I don't want to risk getting CTE. I don't blame Deshaun Watson. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to step up and come back sometime soon, dude. But shout out to the Seattle Seahawks getting the big win at home against the Cleveland Browns. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens going into Arizona. I picked the Ravens at 9.5. They did not cover, which is kind of sad, really. I thought for sure they'd blow him out. But Lamar Jackson, he had a touchdown. Mark Andrews, 40 yards and a touchdown. Gus Edwards was the difference maker, the running back for the Ravens, 80 yards with 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns as a running back, man. He just ran all over them. In Arizona, they did look like they were coming back. They got 1 onside kick, which is rare, right? We don't really see that much often anymore in the NFL where the offense and special teams are getting, onside kicks. I just never really see that anymore in the NFL, but we did in Arizona, which is crazy. But they had to do it the second time. They did not convert. One time, hey, that's good, but they just fell short. But shout out to Joshua Dobbs, battling back, 208 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. But it was all Baltimore. What a win for Baltimore Ravens. Right now, Baltimore only has 2 losses. Everybody's on Baltimore, but I still have really concerns about Baltimore. They need better offensive threats for Lamar. I mean, Mark Andrews, he's a solid tight end. Zay Flowers is solid, but you still need like a superstar receiver for him. These guys aren't really necessarily superstars. Lamar is making these guys look good. Like Gus Edwards, Lamar's making him look good. Mark Andrews, yes, he's a nice tight end. Zay Flowers, he's a good young receiver. But right now, it's all Lamar with Baltimore. Like, everything's relying on Lamar. So, if Lamar plays bad, the Ravens are going to lose. So, all the pressure, everything is on Lamar Jackson, so it's going to be interesting to see how the second half of the season is going to go for the Baltimore Ravens. But shout out to Baltimore, shout out to Lamar Jackson, man, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Take off, Ravens. And then we had the biggest upset all weekend. I did not see this coming. The Kansas City Chiefs losing to the Denver Broncos. It's crazy to me. I just can't believe it. Patrick Mahomes looked human. Looked like they just blew the game and threw the game. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, 2 interceptions, 241 yards passing. Just a terrible game for Patrick Mahomes, man. I mean, Kelsey, 58 yards receiving. That's it, man. And it was all Denver. Shout out to Russell Wilson, 114 yards with 3 touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy, 50 yards receiving and a touchdown, and all Denver. Denver looked like they were the better team. Denver looked like they were more hungry. And really, Kansas City showed up like, hey, we're just going through the motions right now. Like, Kansas City did not look good. Obviously, it's a terrible loss. I mean, this was 16 wins in a row for Kansas City, and they snapped that. Denver said, nope, not 17. We're going to, no way in heck. So shout out to Denver for battling back. Nobody saw this coming. I don't even think Denver Bronco fans thought they had a chance against Kansas City and Mahomes, but they ran right through them. They really did. In Kansas City right now, it's back to the drawing board. Reality set in. That Super Bowl, they thought they were invincible. But right now, it's back to like it was in week 1 against the Detroit Lions, man. I mean, Kansas City, I can't believe they lost. I really can't. But shout out to Russell Wilson finally getting a good game in. Shout out to the Denver Broncos with a huge upset over Kansas City Chiefs. Snaps a 16-game winning streak. And then we got the Cincinnati Bengals in San Francisco. I picked the Bengals with the upset, and it hit. Joe Burrow, 283 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 100 yards receiving and a tutty. It was all Cincinnati. I thought this would come. Cincinnati started the season off terrible, but right now they're starting to get the wins, and they're starting to look like the Cincinnati Bengals that we're used to see. And I'm telling you, if they're continuing to play like this, and if Joe Burrow's continue to week by week build, I'm telling you, these Bengals could be in the Super Bowl, just like they were a couple years ago, even though they took the L to the Rams. I'm telling you what, right now, Joe Burrow and the Bengals are a huge threat this year. It definitely come playoff time. They will make the playoffs the way they're playing right now. And 49ers, I mean, Brock Purdy, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. And really, Brock Purdy, the past 3 games has not looked good. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on, but right now it's a bye week for San Francisco. Couldn't come at a better time because they look terrible. They really do. They need Deebo Samuel back. McCaffrey had 2 touchdowns, 17 straight games with a touchdown. Ties the record right now. So next game, dude, I'm telling you, McCaffrey could break records here. That's amazing. I mean, McCaffrey, he's getting paid the highest running back position because he deserves it. I mean, he's the best running back in the league. Why? He continues to score touchdowns. You could put him out in slot, put him on a linebacker, mismatch. That's McCaffrey all day. That's what makes McCaffrey so special, but shout to McCaffrey, but shout to the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow getting a huge win in San Francisco. Really a must win. Now the Bengals are 4-3, and they're on the outside looking in. Shout to the Cincinnati Bengals. And then we got the Chicago Bears versus the LA Chargers. I picked the Chargers in this matchup. The Chargers won. It was an easy win. The Bears are trash, man. They're just playing for next year, essentially, man. They really are. Justin Herbert, 3 tutties, 298 yards passing. Eckler had a touchdown. But really, it's not a huge win by the Chargers. It's just not. You're playing the Chicago Bears, who are the bottom 3 of the NFL right now. Like, what do you guys prove to yourself? You guys are still under 500. The Chargers are one of the most disappointing teams this year. They're the team that I thought would be like, 6-2 right now. But no, they're below 500. That's crazy to me. Like, the Herbert, so much hype with Justin Herbert. It's just like, man, like, you guys played the Bears, dude. Good game. It's just like JV football, dude. Like, they're nothing special, but big win by the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Then we got the Monday Night Football game tonight, the Raiders versus the Lions. I picked the Lions with the 8, and it hit. The Lions won, and what that tells me is what? Jimmy Garoppolo is a trash quarterback. That's what that tells me. How does Jimmy G still in the NFL? I don't know. He missed like 2 or 3 huge wide open passes to Davante Adams, and he overthrew him. Simply overthrew him. I'm thinking, wow, Davante Adams should be ranking it in right now with 2 touchdowns, 150 yards receiving, but no. It's because of Jimmy G's terrible. Josh Jacobs scored a touchdown. I won in both of my fantasy leagues. Shout out to Josh Jacobs. But, St. Brown and Jared Goff, even though Jared Goff did throw a pick 6, it looked like he was trying to throw it away. It was just a bad play. But right now, the Detroit Lions and head coach Dan Campbell, what they have going right now, they're going into this bye week 6-2. Like, this is crazy right now. The Detroit Lions. And nobody really talks about the Detroit Lions, which is fine. I can't wait to see them in the come playoff time. I can't wait to see the Detroit Lions match up with the, per se, Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. That'd be huge, man. I hope that happens. I really do. Because I can see the Dallas Cowboys choking it. Just like they always do. And shout to St. Brown. He's doing his thing, balling out. St. Brown is such an underrated receiver. I don't know why they don't talk about St. Brown as much. Like, he's one of the best receivers in the league. And shout to Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are on the map, and they're a team to be reckoned with. Now, for the Raiders, Davante Adams, he'll want traded out. He can't stand Jimmy G. I mean, Jimmy G's a trash quarterback. Shout out to Max Cosby, the DN for the Raiders, man. He's in. He had that strip fumble tonight on Monday night. He does so many different things. Max Cosby, every single play, he puts it out there. 100%, man. And what's crazy is Detroit Lions had 3 opportunities to draft Max, and they didn't, which is sad, man. Imagine him in Hutchinson, dude. That would be crazy. But, shout out to the Detroit Lions, man. Ended a good note into bye week, I'm telling you right now. But the most surprising team all weekend in Week 8 in the NFL was definitely the Denver Broncos upsetting the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody saw this coming. I sure as heck didn't. I cannot believe it, man. Like, Kansas City back to the X's and O's. I'm not too worried, but still, you guys are going to let the Denver Broncos beat you? Dude, they're trash. But what a weekend for the NFL, man. My Indianapolis Colts yet sunk again this year. It's going to be disappointing, but what a time for the NFL. It's the Clown with Cam show. Let's go!